This is entry 9 of Expedition Handheld. I'm Russ Crandall.
I'm TechDweeb. We'll be your guides on this journey of handheld discovery.
Buckle up, let's hit the trail. Hey everyone, so this is a little bit different. Instead of Adam today, he's taking some personal time. I actually got TechDweeb on here, and I think this is pretty funny, just that, TechDweeb's all hands and I'm all face and voice, and, people mix us up all the time. We've done like April Fools and stuff about it, but this is our first time doing a solo podcast together. In fact, this is the first time I've ever done a podcast, ever like hosting one, so this is totally crazy for me. But TechDweeb, I'm very happy to have you on, and I had to ask your mom for permission here, but, we got you on. She's a really sweet lady, I don't know. I want to talk to her a little bit more. She's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, she's a huge fan of you, though. Yeah. She had nothing but nice things to say. She said, "Oh, you should hang out with that sweet boy Russ some more often." So, maybe she'll hook something up for us. Another play date.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. TechDweeb's mom making me blush. That's great. So,
yeah.
Hey, dude. I put out a thing on YouTube, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this together. And what questions do people have for you?" And a lot of them are going to be handheld related. We're going to talk about that and stuff too. But one of the main ones was people kept asking me about root beer stuff, like so much. And I know it's your thing, like you do like diet A&W. But one major question people had was like, why that one? Like, why specifically that? Have you tried out like Barks, for example? And yeah, so tell us a little bit about this.
Okay. Well, it's always been my favorite drink, root beer. Mm-hmm. It's like, if a restaurant had root beer, that was the one I was going for. And we never really had much like pop. We call it pop in Canada. I know you call it soda down there, but we never really had it very often. It was like a special treat, And then when I became an adult and I realized I could buy all the pop I wanted, I just like, it's been downhill since then. My addiction has gotten worse and worse.
Oh, man.
So, A&W is my favorite. The colors are lovely, as you can tell, but pretty much all the root beer brands have the same kind of orange and brown vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they just decided, like, that's the root beer colors, which is fine by me. That's, like, very aesthetically, it fits my vibe. But, I'll drink any kind of root beer, to be honest. I like Barks. Okay. I like. There's a new mug root beer here in Canada. It's
Mug's
not it's not diet. It's like, what do they call it? Zero sugar or whatever.
Okay.
It's got just a slightly different taste, and it's very nice.
Okay. Do you have some of the ones I grew up with were was it called Dad's root beer? There was a Dad's root beer.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we got that here too.
Definitely mug. Then Hires. Do you ever have Hires?
Never heard of that one.
Well, Hires is also orange and brown, and I'm not sure where it's from. I mean, I think it's maybe U.S., obviously, but yeah, that was another one. Also not one of my favorites. I mostly was a mug guy, and then I liked Dad's pretty well. I wasn't a huge fan of A&W unless we were at the restaurant. So did you guys have those restaurants in Canada? Like the actual one where you pour it from the tap and all that?
Yeah, that's nice. That's probably some of my early root beer memories. Maybe that's one of the reasons I like root beer so much. I want to pour some, but I'm not going to do it on my mat here because I don't want to spill and
Smart.
It's just a piece of Bristol board that I drew on, so it's kind of dangerous.
So
one of my early root beer memories was I had an uncle that lived in the big city. He lived in Toronto, and we lived in a small town, North Ontario. I say North Ontario. Ontario is really big. I'm not like way up north, but a lot more north than most people in Ontario. And every now and then we'd go visit my uncle in the city, and he served us one time root beer floats. Me and Mom, we got a root beer float, and he had these cool glasses, and he had these like stir sticks with little like skulls on them. They were like glass stir sticks that he got in Mexico or whatever. He was a really kind of eclectic guy. He had all sorts of cool knick-knacky stuff. And just that every time we went there, I ended up getting a root beer float from him.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yes, and I think that's one of the reasons that root beer has such a nostalgic thing for me. It's just,
That's interesting.
I can't get enough of this stuff.
So my wife's from here in Hawaii, right? And so we, for the longest time, lived with her parents, and it's a very Hawaii thing to do, And they're much older, Like my father-in-law is 90 this year, and one of the biggest things for them, they're traditional Japanese. They don't drink soda or anything else like that, except when they have pizza. They have to have root beer with pizza, and so we always have a 2-liter on hand. We pull it out, pour some ice in it or whatever. And that's like a huge thing for them. It's like pizza and root beer together. Do you have that same combination in Canada? Is this like a regional thing? I have no idea.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always associate, I associate root beer with like, just like burger and fries kind of thing. And that's probably just because of the A&W restaurant vibe that I grew up with. So
yeah, makes sense.
I drink it with everything. So, I mean, it doesn't really have any specific place in life. I do have specific cups that I drink it out of.
Nice.
This one here, this little guy. I actually like drinking it out of a coffee mug because it makes me feel like a grown up. And so this mug here, it's a tiny little guy, and I like it because it's sort of like if I was drinking an espresso, like a business guy or whatever. That's probably what they drink it out of. So I don't use this cup very often because it's sort of just like a good mug, a good size, a good weight. And I don't know, I feel like I don't want to overuse it. Gotcha. I'm trying to preserve the experience. Yeah. So I only pull it out every now and then. And I knew since I was going to be on the show with Russ, it was the perfect time.
Oh, man, I'm flattered. You got your special mug out for us.
I've already used it like twice this week. So probably after the show, I'll put it away for a while just to, keep it fresh. Sort of like when you have a favorite song and you don't want to over listen to it, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So that's a great segue to actually talk about this show and not root beer. So, so Expedition Handheld, thanks everyone for coming here. And if you don't know TechDweeb already, he is a handheld reviewer, much like me. He makes all sorts of content. I think one of the things that we've noticed over this past year, specifically between you and I, is that reviews aren't really our thing as much anymore as it is just kind of sharing our love for handhelds in various different ways. You do such a good job when it comes to like, underrated games and stuff, showing that kind of stuff off. And then also just like various gaming setups. So yes, definitely check out the TechDweeb channel. We'll have it all linked down below and whatnot too. But let's move on and talk about some news. We're Expedition Handheld here, specifically about handhelds. And we're going to start with probably one of the bigger pieces of news I've seen over the past week. And that is the AYN Thor and the Odin 3, which are, both from the same company, AYN. They've downgraded, they made a bunch of changes, but the biggest one is they've downgraded their storage speed for those devices in particular. They previously were UFS 4.0, and now they're 3.1. And that does mean slower read-write speeds, and it does also affect battery efficiency because it's a little bit less efficient, so you're going to get a little bit less battery life. On top of that, they've hiked the prices for the Thor just a little bit, but still they're climbing up and up and up. And of course, this is all due to the RAM and storage issues that they're having. It's easier for them to get UFS 3.1 at an affordable rate. So a lot of questions I've seen, even when I was asking, for input about, questions to ask you, TechDweeb. Number one was like, is the Thor still worth it at this price point? And you and I have both done videos after making a review of the Thor, talking about why the Thor is just still kind of crazy and in our minds, And so, that's my question for you is like, is the Thor still worth it with this increased price and reduced storage speed?
Yeah, it's the value of the Thor isn't in the specs, in my opinion. I always thought that the Thor Lite, the Snapdragon 865 version, that would be a swell buy. If you didn't really care about, Switch and as much PC emulation, although you can do a ton of PC emulation on it. Kind of, if it depends what you want to play, obviously, but like the value of the Thor isn't in the performance. It's in the form factor. It's in the unique stuff that only having those two screens. Hang on, I got my Thor right here. Pull this guy out. Yeah, it's the unique things that having two screens can give you. Not necessarily just dual screen games, but all those little conveniences of being able to do stuff on one screen. I can't tell you how many times I was playing a game up here, and I just pull up a web browser to look something up down here, and then accidentally doom scroll or whatever. It's all the joy of it. It's sort of like having a built-in like cell phone or a second device or something like that. And there are so few good high-end flippy. Well, it's the only high-end flippy. No, I shouldn't say the only one. There's obviously the iNeo DS, but nobody's gonna be buying that. Let's be real. I'm trolling the iNeo fans. I love that thing, but one of the only flippy screen doodads we got that is Android. So like, if you want that, it's kind of. Yes, it's still valuable, even if it doesn't load the games as fast or whatever, or the battery isn't as good. I haven't actually done any comparisons. Have you? Between
I haven't, and that's kind of the interesting thing too, is I got a lot of questions like, hey, what does this mean as far as storage speed and stuff? And it's like, well, it'll probably affect transfer speeds, but then people will also be like, oh no, this is definitely going to affect Switch and game native and stuff. And I was like, I'm not really sure about that because after doing a little digging, every Retroid product has UFS 3.1, including the Retroid Pocket 6. And I've never seen a single person being like, wow, the transfer speeds on this aren't good enough. You know what I mean? Or even mention performance difference between the two. I did a full suite of testing and I never found anything between benchmarks and gameplay and stuff where the Retroid Pocket 6 did worse than the Thor or anything else from AYN, which has UFS 4.0. So yeah, I don't know if there's going to be, other than just kind of that bad feeling we get of like, oh, this is a worse deal than it was. I'm not sure gameplay day in, day out is really going to matter that much. And you were talking about the light version of the Thor. I actually have this one. They just sent me one because I wanted to do a review of the Thor Lite because it's one that I kind of dismissed in the beginning. I was like, $50 difference between the two, go with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 every single time. It just made a lot of sense when it first launched. But now the price difference is getting more and they're all getting higher, and it starts to make me think, okay, well, maybe the Lite is good enough. And so that's going to be basically my review, is whether or not this is also something worth investing in. Because to be honest, like the Thor, I mostly use for DS and 3DS, and the Snapdragon 865 will be fine for that. And then multitasking should be okay too. So yeah, I don't know. I think the Lite might be the way to go here right now.
Yeah, people just don't like the idea of things being taken away.
Right.
It's sort of that whole thing of like, once you give somebody something, if you take it away, they're suddenly entitled to that thing. And when I'm reading through the specs of a device, the storage speed is the last thing I care about. I'm never like, ooh, it comes with UFS 4.0, sweet. That's never happened.
It might make a difference at some point in the future, but, like my only thought is like, okay, once Rocknex really gets rolling and you can play Steam games natively on that, you install it on your internal storage, maybe then, but as it stands right now, I'm not really seeing it. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, but I don't think it's at all a deal breaker.
Sure.
The price increase could be, but the storage swap, not for me. It would not deter me from buying one if I wanted to buy one or a second one or a third.
And so we're looking at actually, let me pull up the pricing, just US, because we got two different countrymen here. But I believe the Thor is at $330 right now. $320 for the base Thor, and the Lite is still $250. So there's a $70 difference between the two right now, which is crazy. And then of course they've got like the max specs and stuff. You can pay upwards of $550 if you really wanted to, which is crazy. But for me personally, I've got a Pro. It looks like you must have a Pro or a Max, right? Because you have a different color.
No, I got the highest one. Is there an Ultra of this one? I forget.
There may have been one initially. But I think maybe max 16 gigabytes, 1 terabyte.
I bought this myself and I went all out. I wanted the one with the most storage because I was going to be doing tons of PC gaming on it. And I do, but I don't actually need all that much storage because I'm mostly playing indie games.
Yeah, I was going to say, you play like Bot Vice, which is like a 40 megabyte download or something.
Yeah, that one almost fits on a floppy disk.
Right. Okay, so speaking of price hikes, another one that we're dealing with right now is the Legion Go S. Now, this is a device that's actually had like 3 or 4 price hikes over the past, 6 months that it's been out. The new pricing for it, and this is US dollars first of all, The Z1 Extreme model, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of storage, is now $1,579. That is the same chipset as the original Legion Go, the original ROG Ally, something we've seen for 3 years at this point, now nearly $1,600. The Z2 Go model, so that's very similar to like a Steam Deck's chip, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, is $989. That one was the one they first announced as $500, the SteamOS version, and then they increased it to $550 by the time it launched. Now they're asking $989 for it. So it's just crazy. I mean, I got some takes on it, but what are your first initial takes of those price numbers?
Oh, it's bonkers that anyone would actually spend that for that performance. When there are other options. I don't know if how viable it is to just get a used ROG Ally instead of that, or how much you'd be sacrificing. But it's so depressing and yucky to think that it's gotten that bad. But maybe this will be the normal for a while. Asus hasn't matched their level of price increase yet, but they could. So I don't know. It's sort of just a sad situation, but absolutely would not recommend buying one. Not for the performance you get. Like if you want to push the high end performance at that price, just take the sacrifice in game quality or whatever, get something cheaper, or the sacrifice in latency and do some streaming or whatever. Just accept that high-end handheld gaming on PC isn't really viable with those prices for that hardware.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because I think about like the ROG Ally when it first came out, and then the Ally X came out. A lot of people were trying to sell theirs used and stuff, and you could pick up a Z1 Extreme ROG Ally for like $300 US, and now we're talking $1,579 for that same chipset. It's just crazy. A lot of speculation out there is that Lenovo, and I don't have any insight in this, but Lenovo is basically trying to put up unobtainium prices, like to the point where it's like people aren't even going to attempt to buy them. And it makes sense. Like the Legion Go 2, which is $2,000, is still like available at my local Best Buy right now, when it used to just sell out in like minutes, and so something's happening where they're definitely pricing these so high that market doesn't even want to meet that demand. So
I wonder if they're doing that thing that like free to play games do, where they'll have some premium item that is so ridiculously expensive, and it's not for, like, if you're looking at it and being like, who could afford that? It's not for you. It's for the people who look at that and they're like, is that expensive? I don't know. How much is food for people? Like people with too much money that just buy the things. Yeah, they buy the things they want and they don't even think about it. And it's really expensive, but like, like I'm turning 44 this year. I know you're around my age. Right?
Yeah, a little over.
I know lots of guys my age who have some pretty darn expensive hobbies.
That's true.
I know somebody who has a fishing rod that costs more than that thing, and that's just one fishing rod.
Right.
He has multiple.
Oh
so
my
like,
gosh.
if you got the money and you want the thing, sure, I guess I wouldn't spend that for it, but I can see people doing it, and
it kind of reminds me of the Apple Watch when it first came out. There was like a huge, like, super expensive version, and it was just like for people into fashion or whatever, and it was ridiculous. So I kind of can see that too. I think about like audiophiles, like people who are way into like hi-fi music, and they'll pay $10,000 for a cable. So I get it, but it's still just kind of crazy. Okay, So that's the bad news. We got a couple good news pieces. So number one is RPCS3. So that's the PlayStation 3 emulator. They've just released an update over the past week or so where they now auto-configure their games based on their Wikipedia entries. So they've got their own like RPCS3 wiki, which has always got like nice little tips in there, like, oh, turn this one off, turn this one on, that'll fix these graphics or whatever. So all of that now is going to be automatically pulled into the game when you start it up. So I think that's super cool. But they also mentioned that it won't include auto-loading patches. So another thing you can do in that app is that you can go and download patches and then apply them to the games, and that'll fix things in terms of performance sometimes. God of War 3 is a great example. Metal Gear Solid 4 have patches. And then also it doesn't auto update any multiplayer configurations, because you can play some of these games on like dedicated servers, third-party servers and stuff, but you got to kind of finagle all that to get it running, and a lot of that info is on the Wikipedia page too, but it's not going to be auto configured for you. So I don't know, how often do you use RPCS3?
I don't really. That not all that much. Yeah. I mean, most of the games from that era are. I'll be playing them on Steam or whatever.
Sure.
I'm not gonna play the PS3 version of Skyrim and stuff. There are obviously those PS3 exclusive games that are fun. And I used to, when I first started my channel, I did a lot more PS3 emulation than I actually do now. But it changes. It changes so fast. The viewers of this channel are probably familiar with another channel I love called Mr. Sujano, and Mr. Sujano does daily news. And if you're not familiar with his channel, definitely go subscribe to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not just saying that because he's another Canadian, and I met him and he's a swell guy. But every single day, he's got some new RPCS3 news. That team is just crazy with the updates these days.
Yeah, they're going crazy. They've got like new UI stuff, and it looks really good. Yeah, you can actually use it with a handheld now, which is crazy because it's always been a very PC-focused application. But nowadays, man, it's actually pretty great.
Yeah, it basically looks like a whole different thing from the last time I tried it. And it wasn't even that long ago that it was the last time I tried it. A couple months ago, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever. And now I see the new version. It looks like a whole different thing. Like, it feels like so advanced.
And one of the big things for me with PS3 too is that a lot of those exclusive games, the ones I really loved from that era, don't play so well with this emulator. So it's like the Uncharted games, God of War 3, God of War Ascension, Metal Gear Solid 4, all of those, they're not so great on that emulator just yet. I mean, because they're completely complex games and a very complex architecture that they have to emulate in the first place. So I'm still I'm like you, like I'm kind of holding off, and I'm like, someday this is going to be amazing and I'm going to use it all the time. But now I mostly just use it for tech demo stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy that they're cooking so well with this.
Yeah,
okay, so
it is crazy, and I saw there was some questions later on, which we'll get to, about like the future of emulation and stuff like that. The RPCS3, that is the vision of the future that I have. Like when that reaches its final form, oh man, it's crazy. We're getting it's so advanced now and it's so good, but it's a little sprinkling of what we'll get in the long run, I hope.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm really looking forward to the time when that works well. Same thing with Xbox 360 emulation. That one's coming along too. They're a lot quieter about it, but they are making some improvements too. So going back to the other end of the spectrum, there's a new bundle that came out, the last piece of news here. It's called the Handheld Heritage Bundle, and it's basically a bundle of 30 Game Boy games for $30. And it's put together by a bunch of community developers. It's linked on itch.io. We'll have it linked in the show notes too. And I know a couple of these guys. I know some of these games too. Have you checked this one out?
I literally bought it as soon as I saw it in your show notes. Yeah. No. So I already had some of the games. Oh, there is some bangers on there. A couple good. Hang on. Let me pull up the list. So some really good RPGs and dungeon crawlers, and it's just a topic that I love. I love that there are people making games for the Game Boy. Like, it is so cool, and what they're able to do. Yeah, how good they're some of these games, you look at them and it's like, man, if this came out back in the day, it would have been like one of the greatest, most remembered retro games of all time. Like they make the games that we love from the Game Boy kind of look primitive and sad. Like, they're so good.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I think a lot of it is hindsight. They're able to pull in, you think about a Game Boy developer, back in the day, they were kind of trailblazers, right? Like, they're trying to kind of come up with all that stuff from the get-go, inventing new genres of games and everything, whereas nowadays, guys have the hindsight to look at the whole vast gaming library and then try to come up with something innovative within that. And so it's kind of cool that they can draw from so many different influences. And yeah, some of these games are great. Some of my favorites are Glory Hunters. I really like that one. It's kind of like a Link's Awakening sort of game. And then also The Mayor of Sanctuary is also a good one.
Yeah.
Some pretty nice ones here. But anyway, 30 games for $30, all homebrew Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. And most of them also, because they're on itch.io, if you ever tried to get a game there, Game Boy ones in particular can just play in the browser. So you can demo all the games ahead of time. So I would say 80% of these games can be played in the browser. So you can kind of get an idea before you spend $30 whether or not there's any in here that you're actually going to play. And I think that's pretty awesome. And it's going to work on original hardware as well as the Analog Pocket. And then, of course, you can use an emulator too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, I immediately bought it because I just want more of that in the world, you know?
Yeah.
Supporting people who are making cool stuff. A couple of my favorites on there are Traumatarium and Obelisk. They're sort of similar games. They're like these dungeon crawler games with really nice, kind of new, fresh pixel art graphics that look like modern games. Yeah, they're so cool. They're the same ones you mentioned as well. It's just, You can try them all, so you might as well, but it's only $30, $1 each. I can pretty much guarantee there will be something in there that you'll like. So,
and honestly, a lot of these developers probably don't make as much money as you might think. Like most of them are doing it, for the love of the game, but still it's really fun to be able to support them too. I used to do things like this when I was an author, where they would have like these book bundles and I would like agree to it or whatever. And I'd sell my, $60 book, like the ebook version of it, for $1. And I wouldn't make any money from it. And like my publisher would say, you can do this, but you're not going to get any money from it. I'm like, okay. And so it was more just kind of like spreading the love too. But yeah, super awesome that they have these kind of bundles like that too.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for bundles too. I'm addicted to buying bundles. When I see a good deal and I get a whole bunch of games to add to my backlog, I can't help myself.
It's a win-win. Okay, so next we're supposed to do an ad read, an ad break or whatever. I have no idea how any of this works, but let's go ahead and take a break. Okay, we are back. Now let's talk about some of the projects we've been working on. The name of this topic is What's in Your Pocket. I'll go ahead and start. So the number one thing I've been working on has been messing around with in-house like streaming. So basically just local streaming from my PC to a handheld. It's something I've always been doing, just, kind of at home and relaxing and stuff. But just this week I was like, let's do a new guide. I made one last year and I felt like I needed to do an update. And so I did this whole long video. I think it's over 30 minutes long. It's crazy. Talking about Apollo and Artemis, which are the two main apps I use. Apollo is a fork of Sunshine, which allows you to stream from your PC. And then Artemis is the Android-based app that allows you as a client to basically stream to it. So that's mostly what I focused on in the video, but then also talking about Moonlight and Sunshine, which are the actual original implementations of that and still universally available on a lot of other platforms. So essentially you can stream from anything to anything if you've got the know-how for it. And so I tried to kind of walk people through that and some of the scenarios, like streaming from a Linux-based handheld or a Linux-based device like Bazite, and streaming to a Linux-based handheld and stuff like that as well. So it was a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but for me, like guide videos don't do well in the beginning. And then sometimes eventually they'll pick up. And so I'm in that like don't do well moment right now. So I'm like, why did I spend 5 days working on this thing for nobody to watch it? But hopefully someone will eventually. So the main thing for me is always
I could tell you worked on it a lot. I watched it earlier. It was very, very good. But it is kind of a niche topic too, though. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. And it was one of those where it's like, and I thought about that too. I was like, okay, should I do cloud streaming too? So like all things streaming, like, hey, if you don't have a PC, here's how you can play games too, like NVIDIA GeForce Now. But I was like, okay, that'll make it 45 minutes long. And who's going to click on that, And so I'll have to break that up for something else, I guess. So.
Oh, I can't. That happens to me so often. Halfway through, like working on a video, I'm like, I have a whole separate thing that's supposed to happen after this, but that's got to move to a whole new video now because like I can't squeeze it in.
Yeah. And then for me too, it's like sometimes, I'll say something because that video in particular, I like filmed it in like, 10 different segments because I'm like, okay, now let's do this one thing, edit that down, put it together. Okay, now let's do the next part, and so it was multiple days of filming too. And earlier in the video, I had said like, and we'll get to an advanced topic later on. And then I didn't record that advanced topic because it was getting way too much, And so I had to like take out me saying the advanced topic part, where I was like, I
Yeah.
can't make promises I can't keep, and so just kind of a behind the curtain kind of look. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I love the idea of just streaming to a handheld, like especially for more modern games and stuff. I don't like sitting at my desk, which is where my main computer is. Like, I don't like sitting at my desk and playing a game because I'm already sitting at my desk and working. And so I just want to like be in a more like relaxed position while I'm playing. And so, yeah, and I don't have to have the hot fans blowing on me from my, gaming PC or any of that stuff either, because it's in a different room. And so, yeah, that's kind of one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah, yeah. On my main gaming PC, I actually have an ultra wide monitor, and it does cause problems with streaming sometimes. Apollo and Artemis specifically were kind of a pain in the butt to set up. I know it's pretty much plug and play if you're on a 1080p 16:9
Right.
display, maybe even a 4K. But when you get into weird resolutions, and then you got handhelds with each their own resolution, and it's like, oh, it's got to switch the desktop over. Plus, I'm not just on an ultra wide. I have 4 monitors. I have my big wide one. I'm a weirdo. Don't do what I do. It doesn't make any sense. I have a big wide monitor in the middle, and then I have 2 vertical monitors on each side, and then I have like my watch and stuff monitor above.
Wow.
So when you change the resolution of one, all the other monitors are like, whoop, let's rearrange ourselves, and that causes
Right.
problems sometimes. And so, yeah, it can be a bit of a nightmare to stream from my main gaming PC.
Yeah.
The PC I'm on right now is my filming PC, and that's just sort of a modest little thing. It's got like an RTX 3060 in there, i5 10400F, kind of just like a little project PC that I tinker with. And when I'm streaming, I'll just stream from that instead because it's so much easier.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to mess with the configurations. Yeah, for me, I use my RG Flow Z13 tablet hooked into an external GPU. It's like a mobile 5090. And it works great, except for the fact that Artemis and Apollo in particular, it has a hard time figuring out, okay, I've got the screen on the Flow Z13, and then the HDMI is plugged into a different monitor, and it doesn't know what to do between that and then the streaming too. So I have to go out and physically pull out the HDMI cable from my external GPU for it all to work correctly. And so that's like the one thing I have to do. It's kind of a pain. I haven't really figured out how to get that to work, but it's crazy. Apollo in particular is like really in depth because you can also make like per game profiles per device.
Yeah.
So you could have it hook up and it's like, okay, you're now connecting it with your Odin 3 that has 120 hertz refresh rate. You can make a profile for whatever game you're playing. Say you're playing Final Fantasy 16 or something. And then that will go and match also the specs in terms of like, oh, you want this to be high graphics settings, 1080p, 120 hertz or whatever. And then you connect with a different handheld and say this one's got a higher resolution, like a tablet or something. And it'll know you can make a different profile for that Final Fantasy 16 too. And so then the game itself will load that other settings too. So there's a real deep and rich like kind of configuration option within there. I didn't even touch that stuff. That was some of the advanced things I planned on doing. And then I was like, I can't get into this stuff. So,
yeah. That's like the PC gamer equivalent of me and you spending all night setting up individual RetroArch configs, not just for the system but for the games themselves.
Right. Yeah, like this
so
game
like,
needs this shader.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's nice that they have that depth, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is a deep topic, and there's sort of like the easy version, the Steam version, which you showed,
Yeah.
and then there's the advanced one, and that advanced one is really powerful, but. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, if I sit down to play a game on the couch and then I gotta walk downstairs to go unplug a thing or switch, click a window. Oh, that's
Right.
always the most annoying when all I have to do is click a window, but it's like I gotta walk downstairs to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's other aspects to it too. Like you can set it up for outside of your home, like over the internet you can stream. So basically creating your own cloud streaming service from your house. And so there's things that you can do within that too. Didn't get into that in my video either because I was like, this is way too advanced. But it is kind of cool that we have all those options. But yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. What about you? What anything you got going on?
Yeah, a couple things. I have one video where I checked out the most popular retro handheld on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I went to, every now and then I go to Amazon and I'll just search retro handheld just to see what the normies are coming across. Because that's how I like to party on a Friday night. And Yeah, lately it's just been dominated by this guy. Hang on. This little guy.
Look at that.
R36 Max. Oh, hang on. I have the screen down.
Wait, is the soccer ball part of it, or did you add something? Is that a soccer ball in the center?
No, that's a soccer ball. So hang on, I'll zoom in. The audio listeners won't be able to see this at all, but the guys on the video will. So this is what it looks like really close. Whoa. And in the middle, I'll describe it for the audio guys. In the middle, right under the screen, there's some like holes and kind of carvings into the design. And underneath that, there is a single function button that looks like a soccer ball. And then if you connect the two, you realize that this thing they have carved in here is actually a soccer field.
Soccer field,
right?
Yeah, I see it.
So I guess they really like soccer. They thought people like soccer. I guess they do. This is a worldwide device. People are buying it all over the place. Soccer's
and the
pretty
select
popular.
and start buttons are hearts? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's a choice. Okay,
Holy
so the
smokes.
ball, not only is it a function button, but it's a fidget toy.
Oh, it spins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man! So at first, as soon as I got this, I was like, "Oh man, that's so stupid." And then 4 seconds later, I was like, just I can't stop spinning it. It's so addictive.
Oh,
so
man.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay.
Let me turn up the brightness there. It's a good device, whatever. It's like an RK3326 device, another one of those, kind of a cheap, like the next generation R36S. It's got the square screen, the 720p square screen, which is
Great
unique.
screen.
That's good. Lots of good Game Boy and stuff like that. It's got these weird
Oh my
ergonomics though. Yeah.
It's got some bumps. Wow.
Like I feel like there's a perfect hand that this would be a great device for, but that is not my hands. So my fingers are always hunting to find a little perch or whatever.
Right.
However,
there's some guy who worked in the factory in China who was like, "This is the perfect fit."
Yeah,
with my hands.
Maybe it's like smaller Asian hands. I got weird hands though. I got weird long fingers and stuff. So
yeah.
But but my conclusion was like, like if you bought this, you're probably really enjoying it. You can play games on it. It plays games good. It's like $40 on Amazon or $30 on AliExpress.
Wow.
So yeah, you could. You're probably having a good time. Really weird ROM sets on there, as you would expect.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
The thing is with these kind of handhelds though, right? I'm talking $30, $40. The amount of fun that you can get per dollar is pretty crazy for something like this. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's going to be able to play all of your hand like favorite retro games, but then also that screen is going to scale really well. I don't think that people who are in the market for a $30 or $40 handheld really probably know the ins and outs of scaling, but this is just going to naturally look very sharp and crisp for just about any system you throw at it, which is amazing.
Yeah. As long as you don't vertically stretch PSP games, you'll probably be having a fine time.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah. And the 3326 can play a fair amount of PSP games too. So what is the other project you've been working on?
Okay, so my next video that's coming out on Friday, which I think will be the day before this podcast launches, so it should be out now, is called Perfect Coffee Break Games. So this is a collection of games that are short, kind of quick, bite-sized experience. It's a retro game-focused video. Short and quick, bite-sized experiences that you can enjoy on a handheld, on a coffee break. Things that would be fun for like 10 to 20 minutes. So I cover lots of arcade games, like any arcade game is pretty much good because they're like designed that way. They're designed to, you sit down, you play, you have fun for a very short time, and then you're done. And then I talk about like games that are fun if you have save states, so you can keep a story going, but you don't want something where it's too complicated. You sit down to play and you spend 20 minutes organizing your inventory or something like that. You don't want that. So I kind of cover all those topics and I divide it up into categories. And it's kind of one of my cozy videos. It's got like it's got some smooth jazz, and I talk about coffee a lot and stuff. So I really like making those. Yeah. Any game compilation video, those are fun to make for me.
I love doing those too. Yeah, I agree with you. I love doing them too because it's just so fun like the recording of it is what I find fun, right? Because I get to sit at home, it takes me a few hours and just play these retro games on like a nice fancy emulator with a nice, usually I do a nice shader too. And it's just like I'm tapping into like my old me, playing all my favorite games. So I really love doing that. You were going to say you don't do them too often though?
Yeah. I do them often enough, more often than you. You don't do them very often at all.
Not at all.
You'll do them maybe once a month or every 2 months. I love when you do. I think I speak for the whole community. You're picking common games, but just so am I. So is everybody. Like there's only so many retro games, but hearing your favorite creator talk about a game and why they like it is just an interesting thing to hear. So.
That's good to hear. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm actually, I've already recorded one the other day, and it was just all the footage. I recorded all that, had a fun time. It was for spoilers, but it's for the Neo Geo because they got that new one they announced, that new console. And I was like, man, I love the Neo Geo, and so that'll be my next video. It's like my favorite Neo Geo game. So I've already recorded the footage. Now I just need to talk about each one. So. Yeah, it's fun.
I have the same video in my videos to make list.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have some common ones. So the game I was thinking of when you're talking about coffee break games is, I don't know if you ever played it, but it's called Space Goals. Have you played that one? It's an NES game.
No. What is that?
You got to check it out. So it's made by MorphCat Games. So they made the Micro Mages game, if you've ever played that one.
Oh, okay. So it's a modern game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a modern like homebrew game for the NES, and it's called Space Goals, like seagulls, And it was made during like a jam or something like that. And so it only took them like a week to make it, but it is a short game, like a 20-minute game, But it's a lot of fun. And, like we were talking about with the homebrew Game Boy games, it's got a bit of that like hindsight of playing in a modern world, but then also that old school kind of feel to it too. So it's kind of a mix of like Mega Man and... yeah, maybe a couple other platformers and stuff, and just a lot of fun. So yeah, check that one out. It's on itch.io. It's totally free as well. So a great NES ROM right there.
That sounds like a banger.
Yeah.
There are so many modern games for old consoles that I want to check out. I did a deep dive into Game Boy and Game Boy Color because I was working on a video for those. But I barely touched like the Genesis and Super Nintendo and NES games. I really gotta go down that rabbit hole again.
Oh man, I would love to see that. Those are my systems, especially NES. Like that's my jam right there. So
yeah.
Okay, let's talk.
Favorite one, right?
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite. I mean, it's the one that I have like I feel like I could talk NES. You know what I mean? Like I got to be put in a room with NES experts. I can hold my own. You know what I mean? The other systems, no way, I can't do that. But NES, I'm like, heck yeah. Like I played like most of that catalog back in the day. So.
Yeah, same. The one that I'm most familiar with as a grown up is Game Boy Advance. That's my favorite.
Oh, really?
My personal favorite system for emulation.
No, man, I'm like totally behind on GBA. Like I didn't start playing GBA games until I had my DS that had the slot for them because I never had a GBA or anything. So I was way behind, and I never really caught up. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate because the catalog's so big for Game Boy Advance. It's just crazy.
It's huge.
You kind of had to be there.
Yeah. Well, I did have a GBA, and I enjoyed playing those games on my DS as well. But it's more of I got into it more after emulation.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got stuff like you're showing the AYN Pocket Ace right now, which is like the big, beautiful 3x2 aspect ratio screen, man. That's like the perfect
one.
Game Boy Advance one.
Yeah, if you want to play GBA, that's the one.
Yeah.
So the reason I like GBA is kind of like you're describing, where the games are later in development, so you sort of have modern game design sensibilities in the game. Because the Game Boy Advance was around when the GameCube was being developed, right? Like so you got pixel art, retro feeling, low power device games, but with modern kind of overlays and decisions and stuff. Yeah. So that's why I think it's sort of like the pinnacle of retro games to me because of that.
That's a good point.
I didn't play a ton of it back in the day, actually.
Yeah. I mean, still people talk about the GBA Pokemon games as being some of the best, and I think that's part of it too. So, okay, let's move on and talk Buyer's Corner. So the way I set this one up is I did a shout out on like Twitter and YouTube, and I said, hey, what questions do people have for TechDweeb and just handheld related in general? And very, very many of them were actually about like buying advice stuff. And so we've got this segment called Buyer's Corner that we always do every week. And it's like people asking for buying advice. And so I was like, all right, let's combine the two. So these are more tailored to you and me, basically, but also with buying related questions. So I'll start with the first one. So this was made by Josue Roberto on Twitter. He said, I started with the Ambernic RG35XX. So I'm assuming the OG one before the H700s. Got hooked, so I leveled up to the RG35XXH. And then I spent hours tweaking Gladiator 2, which is a release of Newly. And I thought that this was peak. And then I jumped into the RG476H. And now I'm convinced this is the best gadget ever made. So what's my next? So that's the question.
Yeah, it's the 476H is pretty darn good for lots of reasons. But like, yeah, what's the evolution of that? I guess you would want to. So based on what you've bought so far, I'm guessing you have a retro focused mindset. You went for the 476H instead of a widescreen Retroid device. Right. So you want that 4x3 for GameCube, PS2, whatever. Unfortunately, the evolution of this. Sadly, is one that I don't know if I could recommend for lots of reasons. But I feel like the ultimate 4x3 high-end Android handheld is the AYN Pocket S Mini. It's the most powerful 4x3 handheld you can get. It has a Snapdragon chip, so you can get those custom drivers and stuff. But like, it's kind of weird to recommend. I know you weren't a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty bad screen, which is weird in 2026, considering that like the screens are probably the best part about all handhelds. Everything has an amazing screen, and then you get this thing, and it's like Ghost City and stuff, and low refresh rate. But I kind of love this thing for lots of other reasons. I like the size. I like the form factor. One of the reasons I like AYN devices, this one in particular, is that it's dockable on my dock. I have a bottom loading dock. So I just slap this guy down, and my dock is connected to my CRT TV. And AYN is one of the only companies that does a good job of giving you lots of options for video output.
I agree.
Any resolution you want. If you want 1024 by 768, you got that here. If you want 800 by 600, fine. 480 by 640 by 480, no problem. So like, it's great for that. Like I'll plop this guy down on my little dock, and then it comes up on my CRT, and it's like I have this retro console that plays GameCube and PS2. It's kind of an experience I can't get with any other handheld. So I mean, if 4x3 is your thing, this is sort of the next one, but it's hard to recommend because it's expensive and flawed.
Yeah, I'm a lot in line with what you're saying. I didn't even think of the Pocket S Mini, but that's a great choice. Other than that screen, I think my subtitle of that review was like one fatal flaw, and that's with the screen.
Yeah.
When he said, I jumped to the RG476H, and I'm now convinced that it's the best gadget ever made. What's my next? My first reaction was like, there is no next. Like, just stick with that. Enjoy that for a while. There will be, at some point, a 4x3 handheld. Maybe it's OLED. Maybe it's a bigger screen. Maybe we'll see that at some point, but we just haven't seen it just yet. So I think the 476H is an excellent handheld to stick with for quite some time, especially if you're focused on retro. If you want to, what's my next is branching out into 16:9 gaming, then obviously, Retroid Pocket 5 or a 6 would be an excellent choice at that point too.
Yeah. I get the feeling like he's got money burning a hole in his pocket because he's like, what's the next? Well, I got to spend my money on something. What am I going to get?
Yeah.
So, just pick any of them. They're all good, really.
I always wonder about what it would be like for me as a user and not as a creator. When I get a good handheld, like say the 476H, would I be content with that? And would I just play on that? Being that I'm a cheapskate, I don't like buying stuff. Or would I just start looking in grass is greener kind of thing and then start trying to find another one? Like, I don't know what I personally would do. I do have the personality to try to always get the best and the best, the greatest, the best deal, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I would get really far into it. But nowadays it's like, we'll talk about this later. We have like I think a question later about this, but it's like, yeah, like how many handhelds that we have and how it kind of takes away some of that flavor.
Yeah, I guess one more option before we move on would be the RG477V because it's more powerful. So you won't have as many compromises with the highest end GameCube and PS2. Same screen that you love from the 476H, and it's vertical, so it's got a unique spin on it like that. This one is my favorite playing in bed device because I sit there and the screen's nice and high up, so I can rest this on my chest. If you have a chest, you can rest this on there, and you won't have to crane your neck down and get all spine degradation or whatever.
Yeah, that's good, man. I actually like verticals for the same reason, but it's because I can play them on my side. I can kind of lay over, and then the vertical one just kind of flops over to the side. So that's how I play. It's pretty funny.
Okay. Are you a side sleeper or a back sleeper or a stomach sleeper?
I am actually a back sleeper. It's weird, but like I'm a back sleeper, but only right when I fall asleep. I can't fall asleep on my back. I sleep on my side till it gets so uncomfortable that I roll over, and that's when I fall asleep. It's a weird thing. Anyway.
I do the same thing. I'm on my side until I need to fall asleep, and then I go to my stomach. I'm a stomach sleeper. I'm one of those weirdos.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah. Up until now, only my wife knew this about me, but now you and whoever else watches this knows.
Now the whole world
me.
knows. Isn't that nice?
Okay. So next question is from Jordan Dickerson 750. He says, with Lenovo and others hiking prices so much lately, some models hitting nearly $2,000, do you think the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 handhelds, like the One X Fly Apex or the GPT Win 5, are actually the best move for AAA gaming right now?
Okay, I got a quick answer, so I'll go first. I trust you a lot more than I trust myself in this regard. I don't actually have any of the 395 handhelds myself. I would personally never, ever, ever buy one of those. That seems like way beyond diminishing returns for me. I would take the sacrifice of not even having a handheld, maybe a laptop or something, or do my streaming instead, and the sacrifice there. I wouldn't pay that for that level of performance because I just feel like, I don't know, you just want a gaming PC at that point, so get a gaming PC,
Yeah, so I would say, right before we got on here, I went and I looked up the current prices. So Legion Go 2, we already mentioned, is $2,000. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. That's got the Z2 Extreme chipset in it. Then we have the One X Player Apex, which has that Strix Halo chip, $2,300 right now, but that gets you 48 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of storage. The GPT Win 5 also has the Strix Halo chip in it, 32 gigs and 2 terabytes of storage. And that's at $2,467. So we're looking at, upwards of $2,000 for these. And my take on it is kind of like you, right? Where it's like, number one, sure, if you're looking at the Z2 Extreme versus the Strix Halo, it is a generational leap in terms of performance when it comes to emulation, when it comes to gaming. Like, it will feel next generation. And if we're talking about a $300 or $400 price difference between the two, when you're already at that high of a price point, then I totally get what Jordan is saying here, and that, yes, it starts to make sense where these ridiculous Strix Halo prices actually are competitive, But going back to you, it's like we're so far beyond like where I would have bought in the first place that it's like hypothetical for me. Like, I'm not, when these devices first came out, and I only reviewed the GPT Win 5, it was around $1,500 to $1,800 for that one at the time. And my video was like, why would you pay so much for a handheld, right? And so now we're talking about like $1,000 more, and now I'm saying, it's competitive, and that's just the crazy world we're living in. I'm with you. Like, I can see like two minds that yes, this does make sense if you are at that price point, but at the same time, I don't want to be at that price point. Like, I'm just going to do streaming. I'm going to do something else with that.
Yeah. What's an extra few $100s when you're at $2,000 already? But
right.
It's tough. If you want a handheld that plays those AAA games, I guess. But oh man, I can't allow myself to give you permission to even do it. So like you're on your own, but I wish you luck with your decision.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at that point, like if I was to try to play like this kind of level of gaming on a handheld as cheap as I could, I would probably look into, for me personally, and this is not advice, but my personal thing would be I would look, number one, see if I've got any tablet laying around, like an old iPad or whatever, or maybe buy a cheaper tablet. And then I would get NVIDIA GeForce Now and get a telescopic controller on it. And I would just do that. And yes, you got to pay $20 or $30 a month or whatever. And obviously got to own the games too. So there's some limitations to that. But that I would much rather be nickeled and dimed at that price point than just shell out that much money to do that. And so that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. And that's for a guy who lives in Hawaii where I've got like terrible internet service when it comes to streaming. So, yeah, that's kind of the way I would think about it. I just don't even want to live in a world where I'm paying $2,500 for a handheld.
Yeah. I look at those specs and it's like 2 terabytes of storage on one and 48 gigabytes of RAM on the other.
Yeah.
And it's so much. There's so much, not just money, but also just so much device. And if it was a different world, I might have a different outlook. But with the shortages and just the fact that it's just a bad time to buy anything with RAM and storage right now, it's I hope you consider just waiting and seeing what happens. But maybe that'll be a bad choice, and I'll eat my words. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest things as I've seen is that like my old advice used to be, hey, just wait, it'll go down, get it used, and it's like, actually, no, that's been bad advice for the past 6 months, just because things just keep going up and it's just crazy. But yeah, I feel you. My main Windows PC is a Strix Halo, the same chip as these ones, but it's that ROG Flow Z13, which is a tablet, and I dock it and I use that as a laptop. And so it like has so many other different uses for me. And that to me feels like a better buy at this point than a handheld, which can also be docked, but isn't quite, doesn't have a keyboard built in and stuff like that, like I have with this one. So yeah, just a crazy world we live in. So, okay, one more question for buyer's advice. So this one's from Taha Charifa on Twitter as well. I feel like I missed one of the best eras of gaming. What handheld should I get to emulate PS3 and Xbox 360?
Well, we just discussed how the GPD Win 5 is such a great deal. Why don't you go for that one? It's only $2,500.
Yeah, there you go. And don't think about the fact that you can get a used Xbox 360 for $100. Don't think about that.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. Like I get bang for the buck, price to performance, that kind of thing. Used ROG Ally seems like a good choice right now. A Z2 Extreme something or other.
Yeah.
It's with 360 and PS3, you're still going to be bound by the progress of emulation. The top end hardware won't get you to full compatibility. It won't get everything running. It won't give you the experience of having the perfect thing. So since you're going to be making sacrifices anyway, why not just kind of shoot for the middle and get something that can play most stuff and won't put you in the poorhouse?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would say, along those same lines too, Z1 Extreme. So the Steam Deck used to be like my de facto, that'll emulate everything, but it actually doesn't do great with Xbox 360 and PS3, mostly because of that CPU. I mean, they focus more on GPU performance when they release the Steam Deck. The Z1 Extreme has a stronger CPU that can also go up to a higher clock speed or a higher TDP, and that is going to affect emulation performance. And it was really the ROG Ally X was the first handheld that I remember saying to myself, this is a PS3 and Xbox 360 emulation handheld. Not only did it have all the power and you could, push to it, but it had that bigger battery too, which would endure and still give you about an hour and a half, 2 hours of gameplay, even though you were pushing it to the max. And so, yeah, I agree. Z1 Extreme is kind of like the lowest spec you can go with. And I think maybe the original ROG Ally, if you can, plug it into a wall or, you're going to play for shorter sessions. That's really about it. You can go beyond that. You can do the Z2 Extreme. You could do the Strix Halo. But I think it's the Z1 Extreme really there. And of course, Android, the other Linux ones, they're not going to be there yet. Many of them don't have, there's no Xbox 360 build on Linux to be able to play like that, at least anything viable right now. So yeah, that's where I would go, handheld PC, Z1 Extreme. But at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, do you need to be playing it on a handheld? Could you just get a used PS3, used PS4, used Xbox 360, and then just enjoy the catalog that way too? Because that still runs really well.
Yeah, or a mini PC or something like that. Some sort of cheap product that just runs the things, a laptop, whatever.
Yeah, and then stream to something else.
On that topic, actually, is the Xbox Ally X still the same launch price, or has that one gone up? I haven't kept up with the.
It actually has
Xbox
not
one.
gone up yet. It's still $1,000, which was its launch price. I think it was maybe $899 at one point, maybe a sale or something. But yeah, it has not had a significant increase like everything else. So that Xbox Ally X with the Z2 Extreme AI version, that's still like it's kind of the best deal that you can get if you are going to be spending like $1,000 right now.
Yeah. So there you go. Two options: Z1 or Z2 based device.
Nice.
The Xbox Ally X is also kind of console-like. Like, if I don't know about you, but it feels kind of like a toy, like a console. Like if Xbox made a handheld, that's sort of what they would go for. So it kind of suits the vibe of what you're asking.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, it does. It feels more like an Xbox than a lot of other handhelds. I think they could have gone a little bit further and actually like used Xbox buttons. I think that would have been cool, or Xbox triggers. But you could definitely tell that it's Asus's design there on the hardware side. But anyway, yeah, let's take another ad break. Again, I have no idea what ad they're going to show you guys, but I hope you enjoy it. Okay, we're back. Hope you guys enjoyed whatever ad break that was. Maybe it was root beer, maybe it was a snack and drink, who knows? But let's talk now. Next section is called Glowing Phosphor. So this is talking about the games we've been playing lately, and I'll start here again. So I have not been playing a lot of retro games, probably because I was spending so much time testing streaming and getting all that guide working. And so I was mostly playing more modern games because I was like, how can I stream this, get 120 frames per second, all that. So the game I've been playing the most is Pragmata. And if anyone watches the Nerd Nest, it's the other podcast that I will do. Last week, I was talking on that, and I was like, okay, I bought Replaced, and that's a $20 game, and I was enjoying it a lot, but like I was like, I can feel myself not really being satisfied with this game. It's a game I like to have in my catalog, but it wasn't really wowing me. And I lamented in that one. I was like, oh, maybe I should just pay $60 for Pragmata instead of waiting for a deal. And somebody left a comment, and they were like, Russ, I like to play the games when I want to play them. That's when it's the most important to me. And so waiting for a sale sometimes means that you're not going to care as much when it is on sale. And I don't know what it is. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's enough. And so I just bought it. I was like, all right, you convinced me. I was already mostly there. I just need someone to just push me that last step. And so, so I bought Pragmata, which is a Capcom game, uses the Resident Evil engine. And it's like kind of it's not really like a two-person game. Like it's like a co-op game. Like you have this little android girl that's on your back, and she's like a gameplay mechanic. But I thought it was going to be more like, you send the girl to go do something, then you do like puzzle elements and stuff that required you to do this kind of co-op thing, like that old Brothers game. It's not like that at all. She's there, but it's really just a combat mechanism that you have there. What I really like about this game is that it's got a very old school feel to it. Not like NES feel, but it's got like a Xbox 360 kind of feel to it to me. I don't know if you ever played the game back in the day called Lost Planet. Did you ever play that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was a Capcom game that was like on this like ice world, and you were fighting these bigger mechs, and it had like a tether mechanism to it and stuff, but very old school third person kind of shooter feel. And this game feels a lot like that. And so immediately I was like, all right, this is great, And then also, because you got this little girl on your back, I kept thinking about Donkey Kong Country Returns, where you have, your Donkey Kong and you've got Diddy behind you, right? And he helps you like float, and stuff. And this character floats, like he has like little turbines that can go or whatever. And and so I was like, this is like Donkey Kong meets Lost Planet. And that's kind of like what hooked me, It's a fun game.
It's just a reskin of Donkey Kong.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just throwing your barrels and stuff. But like it's actually a really fun game, definitely a modern game, but still feels, something that's like 10 or 15 years older, which is cool. And It's not a long game. It's only about 8 hours, but I can already see that it's going to take me 12 hours to finish it because I'm like being a completionist and I'm like, oh, well, I got to go through every corner and find that little pickup or whatever. And so I'm taking my time with it. There are 2 difficulty settings. There's an easy and a hard or medium. I'm playing it on easy and it's still a bit challenging, but satisfying. So I'm enjoying it as it is. And so that's what I've been playing. I've been streaming it a lot onto my Odin 3. And then from my Flow Z13 with that 5090 hooked up, and I can do like 1080p, ray tracing, path tracing, high settings turned on, and still plays really well, about 110 frames per second. And so then I just stream that over to my handheld, and it's just beautiful. So
is it a good overall performance, even on maybe lower devices?
Yeah, it's fine. Like if you want to play it with something lower, like I have a living room PC as well, and for that one I have it set to 1440p with like FSR quality turned on, and high settings again. The weird thing is the little girl on your back, she's got like blonde flowing hair. And if you don't use high settings with her hair, it looks terrible. So you have to crank up the hair settings for that. I mean, I think all the Resident Evil games are like that. Like they never get the hair right, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Claire Obscure did that. If you play on those settings, the hair is just like, oh, that doesn't even look like a human. That looks like a plastic toy or something.
Yeah. And so this has that thing going. But I'm playing at 1440p, locked at 60 quality settings, and that's not a very powerful computer. It's running just fine. So I think it'll be okay for most people. I don't know if it's to the point where you could play it like on Game Native, but maybe at some point, who knows?
Oh, probably. Based on how it looks, I would say no. It's pretty nice looking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game. What about you? Been playing anything?
A couple of things. So at any given time, I have a retro game on the go because I run a retro game kind of book club called the Dusty Game Society. And a little spoiler, the Dusty Game Society game of the month is Animal Crossing.
Oh,
so
nice.
You're allowed to play any of the Animal Crossings, and I'm actually going back to the first Animal Crossing I played, which is the DS one called Wild World.
Wild World, yeah.
Yeah, and it plays great on all sorts of handhelds. I'm actually mostly playing it on my RG477V, which is not a dual screen handheld. It's a single screen, but that's fine. Because you could just switch the screens, and most of the functions can be done with controller. And I just I'm in the Animal Crossing world, which means I'm scheduling my life around visiting my villagers. I got a play date later on tonight with with Roscoe. He's one of my villagers. He told me he wants to come over at the same time, so I got to make sure to do that. Otherwise, he'll be mad at me. So the Animal Crossing thing.
Yeah, it's funny, man. That like you're enjoying that, and that to me is like making my skin crawl. It's like the game's trying to tell me to do what? Like I got to schedule my life around this game? No way. I've never been into those games for that reason. But yeah, it's funny to hear that you're loving that.
Yeah, it's like an artificial layer of like real life complexity to connect it with the game, and it's so low stakes though. Like it's like a little world full of animal guys, and the worst thing that's going to happen is one of them's going to send you an angry letter or something like that. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Also, I'm at like half the internet. I am addicted to vampire crawlers.
Okay.
And I'm playing that on all my doodads. The main one would probably be my Odin 2 Portal. That's sort of my main PC emulation handheld right now. But I do like the Ace. The reason I don't play this one on the Ace is because it's locked at 16:9. So this is a 3:2 screen. So it got the black bars on top and bottom. But it's really good. It's so addictive. Just like
I haven't bought it yet.
Oh, don't. If you can, yeah.
Don't. Oh, so
it's sort of like if you've ever been addicted to these kind of games, to Vampire Survivors, to Mega Bonk, to Ball X Pit, whatever. If you find that you get sucked into those games, this one is like that times 2. It's really, really, really addictive.
Okay, so tell me about how this game works. I actually have no idea. So I know it's supposed to be a deck builder, right? But like, how are they
Sorta.
doing that with Vampire Survivors? Like, how are they building that together? I'm not a huge fan of deck builder games. Like, I don't like playing the end games in Final Fantasy and stuff. And Slay the Spire and stuff. I've never really been able to get into it. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been into it. But I love the Vampire Survivors like world. So yeah, how does this work?
Yeah, the top level thing is it's a dungeon crawler, a first person dungeon crawler. You're on a grid, you move around. The levels are very small. You don't have to map in your mind or anything like that. And it's a very simple dungeon crawler. When it comes to the combat, you have a base deck of cards, which is based on your character that you go with. You know how like in Vampire Survivors, if you go with one guy, he has a starting weapon and this or that skill. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing. You have some cards. When you get into a little fight, you have mana, and you can spend that mana to cast the cards from your hand. And you get into lots of like back and forth where you'll play a card that gives you more mana, and then you'll use another card that'll draw more cards. And you kind of can trick the system by doing lots of swapping around and stuff. And then you'll cast your attacks. It'll attack the bad guys. If you didn't kill them all, they'll hit you. And then when you defeat them, maybe you'll get a card. Or if you find a chest, you'll get a card. And yeah, it really does feel like Vampire Survivors, but dungeon crawler. I just fired it up on my Ace here, but it looks like it's taking a long time to load. So,
no worries.
That's how it goes. But
I'm still kind of split even based on that description. I know there's a demo, so I maybe should just do that first. It's tempting though, because it's $10, and if you already own Vampire Survivors, it's just like, it has the bundle thing where it's like, oh, complete your collection, and that makes it $9. And so the price is tempting, I gotta say. But yeah, I don't know about that genre, man.
Yeah, I do feel like you need to be into retro style dungeon crawlers to be able to enjoy it fully. And that's like my jam. That's like one of my favorite genres. I buy pixel art looking retro dungeon crawlers on Steam just on like a Tuesday or whatever. Like that's what I'm doing all day every day. So like just the fact that it's that plus the Vampire Survivors addictiveness, I am just hooked. Every time I play it. I finish a little run, you get a little progress in the metagame, you unlock some stuff, you make some money, you upgrade your stuff, and you just immediately want to dive in for another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try out the demo, and we'll see about that. I'll let you know afterwards if I actually end up enjoying it. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see you in like 2 weeks, and you haven't slept.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey guys, here's my one video of the week because I've just been playing games instead of making videos. So
you can blame me.
Yeah. Okay, let's so last section here is our Q&A. So I compiled like 10 questions that I found, not the buyer's corner ones, but like specific, for us to answer here. We got a lot of questions here, so thanks to everyone who submitted them. I couldn't grab them all, and some people were like, here's my 5 questions, and I'm like, okay, I can only grab one of these, So I've got what I have here, and then we'll try to do like a lightning round here and just kind of breeze through all 10 if we can. If not, we'll maybe have to jump around. So we'll start with the first one here. So Isaac Anonymous said, do you prefer carrying a higher capability handheld or rocking a simpler, more truly retro capable device?
The Miu Mini is my favorite handheld of all time. It's the one I carry around all day, every day. It's my most used handheld. And so if that doesn't answer your question, then I'll just come out and say a simpler, more retro focused device is what I carry around.
Yeah. Same for me. I have the Miu Mini Flip is what I'm using now. Like, so I've moved
that's
on
a good one
from
too.
the regular Miu Mini. Yeah. Same idea though. I run MinUI on mine though. Like, and so it's like, for me, it's like, not only is it retro capable, but it's like so limiting. Like I want that, just put 5-10 games on it and that's it. And so that's all I use for it.
Okay. I'll take your 5 and 10 and multiply it by 20,000.
So follow-on question, not from Isaac Anonymous, but from Russ from Retro Game Core. So if you've got like 1 million games on your handheld, does it bother you? Like, does it make it so that you're browsing more than playing, or are you able to kind of cut through all that?
No, I've organized it so I have my favorites list. So on my Android device, I have I'm a big curator of lists. I'm a list guy. So I love just sitting down and I'll go through my favorites. And then if I feel bored with those, I'll dip into the big collection below. and I'll find new ones down there to add to the favorites, and then my favorites will grow, and it's always changing. It's always moving around. So on the Miu Mini, for instance, I have it divided into folders. So if I go to the Game Boy, the base level, I just open up Game Boy. It's sort of like the best of Game Boy games. And then if I want the big collection, I'll open up one of the other folders for that.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a halfway between where I have all the games, but the ones I actually play and look through most often are the ones that I've selected for that. But lots of the time I'm playing, I actually think of it like I'm working, because I'm trying to discover hidden gems or find games to talk about or whatever. So I find it hard to stop working, and lots of my game hunting is for hidden gems and stuff.
No, that makes sense. And, for me too, it's the same where I do curate mine way more, though. I narrow it down by a lot because I don't like to have more than, say, like 20 or 30 games per system in general, just to have access to, because I know myself well enough that I will spend a lot of time browsing. But I will say that, like, just being leisurely and enjoying my devices and playing games, that inspires more videos than not. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm working, I'm playing a game or whatever, but that's actually what creates like the idea for a video. And so if I didn't have that time of actually playing a game, I probably wouldn't have as many ideas as I do. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. It's sort of like these things are just a tool. You don't hammer a nail with a spoon, and you don't play Chrono Trigger on a hammer.
That's right. Okay, so next question here. This is from Mool Sebsi, and this is a long one, but it says, I do not mean this in an offensive way at all. Do you think that getting so many handhelds to review can make YouTubers a bit hard to satisfy? Like, after handheld number 29 that year, does it become easier to dismiss a perfectly good budget handheld just because it is missing one feature from a much more expensive model, even though most normal buyers would never care about that feature?
I think so. I do. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like, immediately my answer is like, yeah. It does, because like this what do you call it? This R36 Max. When I first got it, I had to kind of put myself in the mindset of like, I'm going to pretend I don't have better options than this. What would this be like? And my conclusion was that it's good, but I'm personally not going to play much of this, and I would have been pretty negative about it if I compared it to my other favorite devices. So yeah, I do think that's a thing. And you can kind of, you can do things to counteract that, play devil's advocate and try to look at the big picture. But there's probably, even if you're trying to, maintain perspective, there's probably some sort of level of bias, no matter how you cut it.
Sure. Yeah, I would say on my end, I think you and I in particular are pretty similar in that we try to find the joy in every handheld. We try to find what's good about it, and not necessarily whether or not we are going to like it, but whether or not you, like the viewer, are going to like it. And that's like my biggest thing. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter whether or not Russ from Retro Game Core is going to enjoy this device. If I do enjoy it, I will say why, but what's important is whether or not you, the potential buyer, will or will not be satisfied with this purchase based off of watching my review. And so that's like my biggest thing. And so I get the idea of us becoming jaded about that stuff, from being like, oh, well, this doesn't have, Wi-Fi or whatever, I try my best to temper that by basically kind of being in the middle there, where I'm like, okay, these are all the things you're going to miss out on by getting this, but these are all the magical things that you will still be able to do on this, And that's the thing for me, is every handheld has some sort of magic to it. The fact that we can even just play, it only plays up to PS1. Like, how many games that is? Like how many magical moments you can have on a CPU like that. And so I get what people are saying, that it does become easy to dismiss a handheld and say, oh, just buy that. I got a video that says, dude, just buy a Steam Deck, like it's like, that's a thing, right? But at the same time, when it comes to the budget side, I find some joy in that stuff too. My favorite go-to at this price point, the lower price point, is that Battle XP one, the G350.
Oh, yeah.
Like that one is
the
just
G350,
great.
Of course.
Yeah. And that one feels like it's got no right to be that cheap. Nowadays, the prices have been going up. It's more like a $40 or $50 handheld when it used to be $30, but still, it's just amazing. And so that's the one that I usually recommend. But it's not for everybody, but I love the idea of finding those little gems where you can find joy in it. And I think you and I both kind of focus on that sometimes, to the point where people are like, "Oh, these guys are too positive," you know. And I think it requires some, some critical thinking to be able to understand why, at least for me, like why I make a video I do. I'm not making it for the jaded Redditor who's already got 10 devices. I'm making this video for somebody who's looking to get into their first one and wondering whether or not that's going to be a good fit. And so if I'm positive on a device, it may not be that I think it's the best thing in the world, but I think it might be a good fit for a particular segment of people. And my goal in a video is to define that segment as I'm going through it.
Yeah. Also for me, I try not to make videos about things I don't actually like. One of the reasons I started my channel was like I wanted to share the stuff that excites me and that I love. I didn't want to be like the ultimate voice in, reviews or whatever, right? So if I don't like a thing, I just won't make a video about it, because it takes a long time to make a video. And if I'm not excited and I don't like it, why would I do that? I don't need to. Nobody's relying on my opinion. So like, there's lots of other reviewers out there that review things, and you got to kind of pick which reviewer kind of suits your vibe, right? Like if this guy didn't like a device and you actually have that device and you like it, maybe their opinion doesn't align with yours and you wouldn't align correctly on other things or whatever.
I think it's a great take. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like any review, like any topic. I'm sure this happens in every industry, in video games, in cars, whatever, you name it. You gotta maintain perspective as a reviewer. That's part of our job, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And a lot of that hits home too. I do tend to still make negative videos if I've put the time into it. But I always do try to find the good as well, and so it's always a balance for me. And again, people will be like, "Oh, he's too wishy-washy." And it's like, well, there are merits and there's negatives to everything, and it's just kind of how it is. And I totally get that as well. And even when a really good device comes out, like I feel myself sometimes going the other way, where I'm like, I gotta find something wrong with this thing, because if I don't find it and someone else does, then all of a sudden it's like I missed it because I wasn't paying enough attention, And so I will, the Retroids and the AYNs, because they get so much scrutiny, those are my least favorite handhelds to review, because it's like I gotta find every little thing, and what if I miss one tiny thing that I didn't notice in the first place?
Yeah, it's a tough balance. Yeah. I really like when a reviewer does a negative thing about something I don't like. So I'm like, sweet, I don't have to make that video. He already did. I'm good. Yeah. Like the Vita Pro. Your Vita Pro video was so bang on. You touched on all the hardest points. And I'm like, nice. I don't have to make that video because I don't like this thing.
Yeah. That's one of the few handhelds where I had the original Vita non-Pro, and I did a preview on that, and it was so bad, like ghost touching and then all the other things about it,
Yeah.
And then they sent me a new one. I just got it like a week ago, and I don't know if I'm gonna make a video on it. Like I think I've said enough, I don't know. We'll see. That's the first time I've been like so kind of negative about an Ambernick device and just not excited, where I'm like, maybe I'll take the TechDweeb route and I just won't make that follow-on video.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We also don't like review like the bottom of the barrel garbage, Famiclone, scammy, weird stuff that anybody would hate, right? Like we're not dipping into the obvious garbage. So there's sort of an inherent level of quality just on the stuff that we choose to even put our hands on, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that. Okay, next question. This is from Derek Rowland, 8097. So he says, in your opinions, what is the natural progression of handhelds going to look like in 5 to 10 years' time? He went on and had a bunch of examples, but mostly talking about, higher end emulation, like pushing beyond, PS3, Xbox 360, or else like a new innovative form factor, things like that. So where do you see this going 5, 10 years from now?
Yeah, I wish my crystal ball was charged up. It's hard. I'm bad at predicting. I never would have thought that dual screen handhelds are as viable as they are now. I never would have thought that Switch emulation would have come so far so fast. So like, I guess I want new sizes and shapes. I want thinner. I want lighter. I want bigger batteries. I want Xbox 360 and PS3. But like, yeah, maybe we'll get it. That I feel like it's pretty easy to see what you would want if the sky was the limit, but the limit is development, the limit is availability, and who knows, there could be something that comes along that I'm just like, oh my God, who knew that we all wanted that? And
Right.
yeah, like who knew that dual screen devices were going to be as popular as they are, right? Like I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be a niche thing, like only DS and 3DS, who would buy an expensive handheld for that? Oh, it turns out that there are lots of good reasons to want a flippy screen, dual screen doodad. And yeah.
I got to say too, with the dual screen thing in particular, like I was a big proponent of saying, hey, don't expect much on Android, basically, because of what I had seen so far with like dual screen implementation was rough. Like apps wouldn't support it. Everything was rough. And then the 1X Sugar came out and I was like, see, it sucks, like it's not fun.
Yeah.
And then, but then the development community got involved and made forks of a lot of the emulators, which then often implemented the dual screen support in the actual emulator. And so then all of a sudden 3DS and DS emulation on a dual screen Android device is like just tapping a button and it works,
Yeah.
So that's one of the great things I've seen too is, I am the same way where I would not have pegged dual screen Android gaming to be something that people would enjoy. And sure enough, like the community was able to kind of figure out the software behind it to make it fun. And so, yeah, totally cool.
We need triple screen handhelds now. we got the dual figured out. Let's get the three.
Yeah.
And three thumbsticks. Why are we locking ourselves down to just two of them? Makes no
right.
sense.
It's not like we have only two thumbs. But so here's my thing. I think that what we're going to see 5-10 years from now is going to be a change in battery technology. That's what I'm hoping for. Instead of the lithium ion, they'll move on to something else. And I know there's all sorts of things in the works and whatnot, but are still very, experimental. Something like that would be really cool to see, some sort of like new battery technology or something that would just change the way things go. Maybe new cooling, where we would have less limitations than what we're working with right now, especially with the handheld PC space. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for, is to see something like that.
Oh, new cooling. We can't. We can't get that soon enough. The sound of fans, like why are we still hearing these fans?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. So we live in the future. Why are we also feel like we're in the past in this one area?
Right. Okay, so here's lightning round one for you. AJ the Funk Monster 4767 asked, "What will you call the RG Rotate?"
So lots of people are like, oh, what TechDweeb, what, you got all these weird names. What are you going to call this or that thing?
Yeah.
And the thing about my names is those are for the Amberlic XX devices. Every XX device fits into that name. And there's a very complex system to the naming. So like if a new device comes along, I can tell you what the name will be based on how I've named the other things. The RG Rotate isn't going to be an XX device, so it doesn't get the same treatment that the rest get. Yeah. I'm planning on calling it the Floop.
Floop, like kind of like flip in a loop kind of thing.
Yeah, we already have the Flip, so the Floop. It's a Floop, and that's a thing from Adventure Time as well.
Okay.
In Adventure Time, they play a game called Card Wars, and it's sort of like in Magic the Gathering when you tap your lands, you turn them, you tap them. In Card Wars, they call it flooping, where you floop the pig, and
nice.
So I'm going to just call it the Floop because that's fun.
That's smart. Yeah. I was hoping that the RG Rotate was going to be an XX device, because I think that using the H700 and all of that custom firmware options that we have, like they would come up with great stuff, MP3 players and whatnot. Like I think that would have been really fun. But it looks like it's going to be like a really low powered Android device. And I have two minds about that one. So we'll see.
I would actually disagree. I think Android is the right choice there, considering how weird and versatile it is. How much it would rely on the touchscreen for lots of apps and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
And also, I don't know. Have you heard about the screen? Like, is it the same screen from like the iNeo DMG and the bottom screen on the Thor? Like, is it that OLED screen, that square one?
I think it's I think it is a true square, unlike that one, which is like a 31 by 29 or whatever. And so I don't think it is that. I think it is just I don't think it's the 4-inch one like you had in that RG36 or R36S clone. I don't think it's that size. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I've ever seen that screen dimension before. It'll be interesting. If it's got that OLED screen, that'll be really nice. But I'm not seeing it.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what it seemed like to me at first. I was like, oh, hang on. That could be a little pocket-sized Game Boy thing. But we'll see.
Yeah, that is actually kind of neat. Okay, one more lightning round one. Guacamole United says, when will we see the new full-time pocket test guy?
Oh, there's lots of internal drama with him that I'm not at liberty to talk about. HR wouldn't be impressed if I talked about some of the things that we talked about this morning. So yeah, I'll just say no comment.
Okay. Yeah, this is a running joke for those who don't know, is that, TechDweeb fired his pocket test guy. He's had a temp guy for a while now, and it's a mess. So
yeah, it is a joke, the quality of work you get in temps these days.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions for you. The next one is from Nix Opazart, and it says, if you had to destroy one retro handheld in your collection, what would it be? Like, blowing it up, using a hammer to smash it. Which handheld would you destroy?
Okay, so part of me is like, oh, let's destroy the best one, because that'll be like really fun to see. Shocking, your favorite thing, and it gets exploded, and that's you get to see what's inside it and how it explodes or whatever. So part of me is like, yeah, let's explode the Thor, because it's got lots of moving parts, and that would be fun to see explode. But I don't think that's what he's getting at. I'm going to go with a device that I didn't actually like or review, which is the new the A30. And I know lots of people like this one, but I just didn't. It wasn't for me. I didn't like it for lots of reasons. And I didn't even review it. I got it and didn't even bother making a video. So that kind of thing would be what I chose.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've had a love-hate relationship with that one. I think it's good at the right price point, but there's still some things I don't like about it. It still gets too warm for me. Yep. So thinking about it for myself, which one would I destroy? I would have to go with, this kind of obscure, but the Pimax Portal. Do you remember that thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had one of those
for a while. Did you review that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Oh, it was so weird. So much potential. Yeah. I'm still waiting for my VR headset for it. What about you?
Right. Yeah, they made a lot of promises about that handheld, right? That it's an Android tablet that has like attachable magnetic controls on the side, kind of like a Switch almost, And it had a pretty good processor, pretty good screen. The buttons themselves didn't feel great, and the software was so janky. And Pimax is a company who's been around for a while. They make VR stuff, It's the idea was you're supposed to be able to slot this into like a headset and be able to play VR games on it. Never took off. They never got the software going. They discontinued the handheld and then just sold it at really low prices for a while, and then that was it, That was such a pain for me to cover and review. I had an early prototype, and then someone sent me one of their closer to launch ones. And it was a guy in one of their marketing guys, their European marketing guy who's in Sweden. He sent it from Sweden to Hawaii, and it wouldn't turn on. And I couldn't get it to work. I had to talk to their engineers, couldn't get it to work. So they had to eventually send me another one. So I ended up with 3 of these at some point and just trying to review it. And yeah, it was kind of just a bitter moment for me because they weren't taking any feedback. They weren't really trying to make any changes, at least at the implementation level. I think people in the company were excited about it and trying to do things with it, but just never took off. And so that one, I still look at it and I'm I kind of get a little mad about it. So that's the one where I'm I could do without that one.
Yeah, sure. That's a great choice. I'd like to see you take a hammer to that one.
I probably have I probably still have that non-working one here. I can take a hammer to it.
Oh, hey, maybe you'll actually get that video then.
Yeah.
Nick Obsart.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so one more here. So it's from the Swest, and they said, what hobby would you say pairs the best with handhelds? I'd have to say 3D printing. It opens up so much modding potential, but I'd love to see what you guys think too.
Okay, I'll give you 2 answers. Art, because you can customize handhelds the way they look and get all artsy with the actual things. You can design decals and kind of like I do, where I make pixel art. So I make my own front ends, and I kind of change the vibe of my device by creating my own icons or whatever it is. And then I would also say camping, because I love the combination of having a little handheld doodad in the woods. People are like, oh, why do you take a handheld to the woods? And you're there to enjoy nature. And I'm I do lots of that. I'll spend the vast majority of the day sitting by a lake, throwing rocks in or whatever. But when the sun sets at 9 o'clock or whatever, and I'm not going to fall asleep until midnight, I'll play some games in bed or by the fire or something. Games are a hobby I love, so why wouldn't I combine my two hobbies that I love, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great time to play games when you're in the woods, especially when you play like kind of nostalgic retro feeling games that give you feelings.
Yeah. So yeah, I hadn't thought about camping, but I think that is a good mix right there. I kind of went the other route, and I was thinking what complements it in a way, like if you're doing a hobby that you can also do it with your handheld. And so what I thought about was maintaining like a media server. So this is another hobby of mine. You know, I've got like a Plex server.
Yeah.
I've been maintaining that since way back in the day. It's back when it was called like XMBC and then Boxy and stuff. So I've been doing this for, I don't know, 15 years now. Having all my media on like an external drive that's connected to a Mac Mini, and then I just shoot that out to all my devices basically. So we want to watch a TV show, we want to watch a movie, we want to stream music, we want to have a place for all of our pictures. All that's put together in one, and I can access all that stuff on a retro handheld. So I can turn a handheld into an MP3 player if I needed to, just stream my music from there. You can always obviously use things like Spotify or whatever, but I like to have my own collection. I've been building my MP3 library since like 2003, so I like to have access to my songs. And so that's like one of my favorite parts. And I think it goes hand in hand too with the whole preservation aspect of gaming, like the thing of, being able to preserve your games and play them elsewhere. And then also, people can get really into it and have a media server that hosts their ROMs. There are apps like ROM-M, that'll allow you to basically download your own games from your own server onto your handheld and stuff. I still haven't really gotten into that stuff, but it's fascinating to me. And that's another thing I want to work on at some point. So that was my choice of a hobby, is like something where you're doing a media server and kind of playing that on a retro handheld too.
I have an MP3 player. I have a Zune. The Zune. I'm one of those guys. I had a Zune.
Nice.
And I fired it up a couple weeks ago just for funsies. I found the cord for it, so I'm like, I could charge that Zune. And I did, and I fired it up, and I went through the music that I used to listen to back when I had my Zune. And there was a couple of musicians that I had totally forgotten about. And I'm like, oh, right, that guy, Leonard Friend. I got to add him to my Spotify. I open up Spotify, nowhere to be found. I go to Google, nowhere to be found.
What a shame.
Those MP3s I had on my Zune are literally the only way I can listen to those now. So, like, you never know what's going to happen with licenses and the artists you love and the music that's important to you. It's probably just as important as games. If you're a big music guy, collect your music physically if you can, or just hoard it on a hard drive. Because you never know. Yeah.
No, it's good advice. I also have like backups. I'll do a backup once a year or whatever, and I'll back everything up. So I've got multiples of those too. It's really important. I also like record music, and so some of this I'm like, I don't want to ever lose this. So yeah, it's all really cool and important. And I wasn't a Zune guy, and I didn't have an iPod until later on. I had the Dell, like I think it was called the Jukebox. It was like the Dell MP3 player. It was bad, but that's what I had, and yeah. That's how it went back in the day.
I got my Zune from the liquidation warehouse in in the little town I live in.
Nice,
and that was it had way more storage than the iPod guys, and I felt like the king of the world, but I always got made fun of, so whatever.
Yeah, and nowadays the Zunes and the iPods and stuff, they are like $300 used nowadays. Like they're crazy how expensive they are, and I think it's just people trying to unplug and stuff. And so yeah, I think that that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of interested in this RG Rotate, is like, could this be like a modern iPod / gaming device? And we'll see. It looks a little too big, I think, but in general, I'm kind of excited about that one.
Yeah, my Zune's pretty big though.
Yeah. Okay, so really that's going to do it for this show. I really appreciate you, TechDweeb, for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. Like I mentioned in the beginning, like this is my first time ever hosting any sort of podcast in my life. So, I can't think of a better co-host for this one. And we should see Adam next week, too.
You did good. You did great.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
we should see Adam next week, too. So he'll be back and back to our regularly scheduled stuff. And we definitely want to have you on again because Adam was like, I can't believe I'm missing TechDweeb. So you're obligated now to come back.
Oh, okay. Well, give my best to Adam, and tell him I will invade his little show at his earliest convenience.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For the business side of things, you can watch this on YouTube. We've got our podcast everywhere and RSS feeds and all that stuff. Adam always likes to say that it's now on Spotify video for those who want it. But be sure to check out the video description down below if you're watching this on YouTube. We'll have links to all the stuff that we talked about here today. And that'll do it for this episode. So, one of the big things here when we get ready to end our expedition for the day, we got to rest up. Like, it's very important. And so if you got any advice as far as long travel, things like I always say, change out your socks, stuff like that. Any advice you've got for any of our listeners?
Oh, just make sure you have your favorite handheld charged up. You got your Miu Mini. Transfer your save games because, you never know what you're...
Smart.
Yeah, you're going to be able to continue your Dragon Warrior game or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not much of a traveler, to be honest, as you probably could tell. I don't leave the basement all that often. So most of my traveling is between the couch upstairs and my dork den down here.
Awesome. Well, no, that's good advice. I think the charging up your devices is a good one too, because I don't think we talked about that in the outro. So yeah, anyway, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.